Welcome back to Builds Not Projects. In this week's video, we're going to be working on the Honda Odyssey. Going to be fixing up the rear jack shaft that we ripped out and doing some more upgrades and giving her a good rip. So this is the Builds Not Projects fix to this thing, using the old bottle jack to push this the rest of the way back into place so we can get it lined back up, re-weld it along here, build some reinforcements, ready for some more sending. After some hammering, persuasion, and using the bottle jack and the floor jack to get this thing back into place, got it back in, welded in back into its not so great mounting point, and now I'm going to add in some extra support. So I'm going to add in a piece of tubing that's going to run from in here somewhere and then run back to this back tube back here. So going to add those in and then end up triangulating off of the bearing plate. So it should take all of the stress off of that. Alright, so the jack shaft's all welded back in and reinforced. Ran this tube towards the back to tie all that together, and then ran another little support bar up from the base of the bearing plate. That way we get a nice kind of triangle shape. Now we're going to move on to this back jack shaft, pull it out, swap out that sprocket there to get it geared down. I got a sprocket that's 4 teeth bigger than that. So we finally got this jack shaft all apart and putting the new sprocket back on. This is a 24-2 sprocket. This is an old 21-2 sprocket that was on it. So at 3 teeth, hopefully it'll give us a good enough change in gear reduction to where it'll be a lot nicer to drive. I just cut the old tensioner bracket out. I'm going to leave this kind of in here, so then eventually I'm probably going to end up building a tensioner that runs up towards the top, kind of like this same kind of design of one. So I'll be able to just use that kind of as a starting point for a flat surface to go up with. This chain is actually a perfect equal length now, so we were able to get rid of the half link, but actually I ended up just adding in another half link and a master link because I'm waiting for chain to show up. It is ordered. Much better O-ring chain, but we're going to kind of try to throw some chains on this thing and maybe give it a test drive before the new chains show up. So this was the first successful run where I didn't really break anything. You could hear probably a little bit in the video. There was 2 of the chains were skipping a little bit. I do have chains on order. They'll be showing up soon, and then we can take care of that issue. The industrial chain just stretches way too much. The gear reduction worked really well. It could almost use just a touch more gear reduction for in the field because it's so short, but this thing rips. It's super fun. We had a very important package show up in the mail. Got our 530 O-ring chain. So we're going to be swapping out the 3 chains, and then we're going to be moving on to the front. Going to reinforce the steering, the tie rod ends, or tie rods. Reinforce those with this 3/8 pipe. So we'll be getting that done as well, and then giving her a good rip again. So it stopped once before. We were trying to kind of figure out what chain was loose, but they all felt tight. I just stopped again. They all still felt tight, but they were still skipping. This one here decided to shorten itself half a link by skipping a tooth and then just getting stuck there. So we're going to go fix that, tighten up that chain, then we'll be back out for some more ripping. So in the driving video from last night, you could probably tell that there's still chain skipping or noise from the chain area. Figured out that the sprockets are turning a little bit on the shaft, so they're not like locking in tight and then they turn a little bit and make a big bang. So chains are staying tight, so we're going to go through and I'm going to end up welding a bunch of those sprockets on. It's going to be kind of a pain if I got to change anything later on, but I think the gearing's kind of where I want it. So go through, weld those on, and then we're going to be redoing the brake pedal area because the brakes just aren't working great. They're really hard to bleed because the angle on the master cylinder is wrong. It's just can't get the air out of them. So we're going to be rotating those and just kind of redesigning the brake pedal a little bit to try to get a little better feel as well. So we'll get started. brakes work. The front brakes are all done and everything. After we drove it, determined that the front brakes still are not locking up quite before, like the rears still lock up before the fronts, but it's not too bad. It stops way better than it ever has. The chains and all of that worked really well. It wasn't skipping. Right towards the end it started skipping. One of the chains is getting a little bit loose, but that's not a big deal. I'll just tighten it up. The thing's really fast. Try to see what the GoPro said for speed on that last run, but I was only third gear, so it's got 3 more, but I don't think I'll be able to get it all the way wrapped out ever. So that's going to be all for this week's video. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you already haven't. Share it with your friends and family. Did that look cool though?
Oh my god.
Did that at least look cool? I was like, oh, he's going to hate me, but this better look cool.
I couldn't see anything. I just closed my eyes and hoped.